Hello, my little pumpkin pies. How are we all this morning?
Good morning,
Now
JC.
Welcome to the News and Views with the EV Café. 30 minutes of what's happening in zero-emission transport with expert analysis from the EV Café crew. Now then, this week it's brought to you in partnership with Plug Me In, depot and workplace charging that you can rely on. And today's opinions on a stick are Paul Kirby, looking gorgeous there, mate, with your R2-D2 ears on. Some bloke in the middle, what we'll introduce in a minute, and young Sarah is here. Are you well?
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry I'm late, and I do apologise. There will be a slight echo, so I will manage the mute button.
Bless you.
She's very bright and shiny today, isn't she? Very summery.
I thought, if it's wintry.
You just
Yeah,
put
that's
yourself
not
back
working.
On mute. Anyway, there we go.
And Sam will be joining us at some point. He'll scream in at, about 10:03 probably, bless him.
Okay.
Sam lives in Sam's world. So grab a cuppa and plug in to what's been happening in zero-emission transport this week. And coming up, you can get free charging from Octopus with V2G. Conditions apply. Richie Martin. He's the geezer with a beard. He joins the EV Cafe support team. We'll be talking to Richie live in a minute about what he's going to be doing. Labour, the party that just won 2 by-elections, they would restore the 2030 new petrol and diesel vehicle bans. Does it mean anything and do we care? The greenest drivers live in Westminster. Oh, yes. And what's really interesting is it seems to be the ones with the cash can do the dash in an EV. And me, yes, me. It's all about me as I go to Parliament, oh yes, to meet ministers and MPs and stuff. And we champion electric vans in Speaker's Court. But first, you may not yet have caught up with the news that Sarah Sloman Woman of the Year bursary, that's Sarah Sloman Hours, her, that lady there, she set up a bursary for people to be awarded some learning funding. So to be able to go and learn about sustainability or mental health, things that really matter to us. Sarah, tell us more.
Thank you, John. I wasn't expecting this. I wanted to make sure that bursary was paid forward to as many people as possible. So we ran an anonymous application process. I didn't know who the people were until I announced it on the EV Cafe webinar on Wednesday. But we have given away 3 courses, and I won't name who they are. They're welcome to celebrate. One is in mental health, and one is about the environment. Oh no, we've got 2 Richie Martins. Oh, that's clever. But jokes aside, I'm completely delighted that those who applied have been awarded, and of course sad that those that applied that didn't get awarded, but perhaps there's another way, another day.
Brilliant stuff, Sarah, and you should be hugely applauded for all you've done, so thank you for giving to other people. Absolutely superb. Right, welcome Sam, thanks for joining us.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry for being late, but I can see that my doppelganger has been there in my place. Much better looking version as well. So, but don't get used to it, Mr. Martin. Don't get used to it.
So, said to Sam earlier in the week, what's happening with that face fungus? And he did say, I'll get bored of it by the weekend and it'll be gone. It's still here.
Yeah, if I had time to shave, I'd probably get rid of it.
Bless him.
It takes like 3 minutes.
Smallest violin.
There it is.
Whatever. Yeah, I'm not having that.
Right, anyway, let's get on with the news. Octopus Energy has launched the UK's first mass market vehicle-to-grid tariff. It's called Octopus Power Pack, which they say guarantees free charging for electric vehicle drivers. An average electric vehicle driver will be able to save more than £850 a year in charging costs on Octopus Power Pack compared to charging on a standard variable tariff. The tariff, which is still in beta, uses V2G technology and Octopus's energy tech platform Kraken. What a great name! Arrgh! To balance charging and discharging when it's best for the grid, charging up your car with cheap green electricity during off-peak times and exporting back to the grid when it needs it most. All that drivers need to do is plug in their car for roughly 6 hours a day, and let's be honest, most of us do sleep for 6 hours a day, except Sam, and when he does sleep, it's upside down. The rest of us, for the rest of us, 6 hours is easy. The process is automated, leaving drivers with guaranteed free charging. Terms and conditions do apply, but V2G is exciting if you've got a V2G-enabled vehicle. Sam, you're the Chief Vehicle Officer at GridServe. Tell us, What vehicles have got V2G on them?
Not many. It's a really good system, though. V2G is great. I installed a lot of V2G stuff about 4 or 5 years ago in my old delivery company to great effect with Nissan ENV200 vans. I think it was the largest of its kind at the time, probably still is, I suspect. So yeah, CHAdeMO connection is what V2G currently operates on, and the work is in the background to try and make that a CCS connector, such that all vehicles in the future, not existing, but in the future, the vehicles will be able to do V2G. So this is good news. It's great. I love V2G. However, almost no one can use it right now. So it's great, but at the same time, it's a technology for the future as the vehicles develop to enable this. So I'm a little bit skeptical of news that comes out. Hey, look at this wonderful thing that no one can use unless you've got a Nissan Leaf. But nevertheless, it's great technology for the future.
Paul, there are some vans with V2G technology, aren't there?
Just well, as Sam pointed out, just the ENV200, which is a van. But go on.
More coming was what I was going to say. And I think what's really interesting here is that this is a necessary stepping stone to give confidence that this technology does work, so that when other manufacturers bring V2G, bang, we're straight in.
Exactly that. And I think, Sam himself is a recipient of an Innovate UK fund to develop something from nothing. And in the same way, V2G is exactly that. They're a recipient of a fund from Innovate UK to really take this technology forward. And that's what we need, right? I mean, in the same way we'll see the electric freightway come to life, we will see V2G come to life over the coming years, and it will add value, as has clearly been demonstrated already.
It sounds like Paul's in his ancestral home today. It's booming
It's
around. Where are you, mate?
I'm at the RSPB's head office in Sandy, and it is a beautiful environment. But yes, it is a little echoey. I apologise for that.
Not at all. It gives gravitas, I think, don't you, Sarah?
Grandeur.
Yeah, I like it. I thought you were in your ancestral home. I thought you were down at your mum's in Box in Wiltshire, but no.
Similar sort of era.
Right, let's say hello to some people, shall we? Because I know everybody loves the shout out, don't they, Sam? Everybody loves the shout out. Right, here we go. Mark Elliott was in 3 minutes early. Mark, would you like to take Sam's place on the news sometime? We could bring a clock to work day. Mark went and got coffee. Ian Thompson, such a great supporter, Ian, throughout the week with lots of comments. Thank you so much for that. Thomas Edwards, my first time pre-live. What an honour. You're a dude. Paul O'Brien, morning. Rob Dustin, Michael Barton. Michael, had a lovely chat with Michael last week about neurodivergence. And we got something really special that we're maybe going to be doing very shortly. Ashley Bannister, hello Ash. Esther Jones, had a hug earlier in the week from Esther, didn't we, Paul? Russ did. Morgan, Andrea Richardson, Jim Blair, all the way from Scotland, Ursula Perry from Greenfleet, Sharon Guy from Formula Space, met him yesterday. Oosh, that dude is good. Ex-Pod Point and pretty smart. Lloyd Allen. Hello, my dear chap. Marv Samuels. Sarah Sloman. Hello, Sarah Sloman. Yeah, well done to Turbocharge. You're so right. Dragon's Den. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Deborah Meaden. She's getting Turbocharged. Richard Tyler. Jev Chakravati. Bob Murphy. Hello, my old geezer. Pam Hanlon. Andrew Clark. Who else we got? Tia Capon. Now, we've had the Capon joke before. Hello, Tia. From Europe Car. Lovely to see you. Tony Clayton, Tim Morris, he's also from Europe Car. Karen Mull, she's from Europe Car. Gemma Lovett, she's in Holland now, not in Barbados. Caroline Kirby, stand by your beds. She's in the house. Martin Sweeney from MHA. Need a little favour from Martin, but we'll talk about that maybe offline. Jamie Fretwell. Hello, mate. Lovely to see you. Mercedes-Benz Trucks, Lovely to see you, Jamie. Really good. Joel Priest. What else we got going on? Ben McDonald. Oh, Lisa Martin. Right, okay. Listen. For tuning in, everybody. Thank you so much. And I know that the one thing you are all keen to know is who's that badger with a brilliant beard? Not like the other two also-rans. Well, maybe all three also-rans with Sarah, if you include it. That gets a bit bushy sometimes. We have some great news. The EV Cafe crew has gone from strength to strength over the last 4 years since Johnny Berry had that glimmer in his eye. You know the glimmer we're talking about. But we're delighted to announce that to support our work in accelerating the transition to zero-emission transport, Richie Martin, previously International Sales Director with Fully Charged, is lending his considerable weight to our sales, events and commercial activities. We can now go across live to Richie to hear about his great work in bringing the On Tour in 24 live events with the EV Café Village to life, working with our events manager, the aforementioned Caroline Kirby. Richie, welcome to the team, my little lovely.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm not sure
What
about considerable weight. I'm trying to shift that. I look even more like Sam if I lost a little bit of weight and grew a little bit of a man bun as well. So that's the
He said it out loud.
Just grew a little bit.
He hesitated. I couldn't resist.
Right. So let's get back to the business. Richie, what are you going to be doing with us?
Right. I'll tell you what, first of all, thank you guys so much for a beautiful introduction. But yeah, I suppose what I'm going to do with you guys, with everyone, is have a look at this On Tour in 24. It's such an exciting calendar of events that we've got scheduled. And what it does is it actually brings what we see on the screen to life, face to face. And I think that's kind of what I love about events. But yeah, you know, the other day we did this love and hate thing, didn't we? Right. And it was fantastic. And I suppose I can kind of hark back to that a little bit and say, you know, the love part of it is that, you know what, we've got an incredible community that can't meet up every single day. But when we do, we don't have to make the most of it. But seeing people face to face in a collaborative way is just the best way of communicating. This is fantastic. Emails are great. All the stuff that we do everywhere else is good as well. But actually getting down and dirty, talking to people, sharing a cup of coffee, putting an arm around people who need an arm around people, and then finding those gems that turn up at events is just beautiful. And what we do at EV Café is we create an absolutely beautiful environment for all that to happen. And it's a very collaborative way of doing it as well. So you're not just isolated, you're not on your own in the show, you don't feel like you haven't got any friends. We've got this community around us that will help anybody and everybody step onto the EV Café Village and have the best show experience or best event experience ever. So that's what I'm here for. I'd like to do this had a one-man crusade about raising the standards about events across all sectors, but because I love the EV sector so much, you know, I think, you know, this village really does give us an opportunity to raise those standards.
Richie, I never ever thought I'd get a trouser tingle from you saying "we" at the EV Cafe, but I just did. Too much?
I don't know, maybe.
You need to wait until you see what the auto caption came up with. By the way, I've screenshotted the auto caption. It's going to go on private groups only. It is a classic. I'll send it straight to you, Richie.
Was it from me?
You said it, and it came out really bad. So up to you to watch.
Oh wow! Okay, well, great for perfect introduction.
Welcome to the team, Richie. If you get emails from Richie Martin, do not ignore them. They have important news in them. He is a superstar of the industry, and we're really, really proud to have him working alongside us.
Just quickly, JC, that is exactly that. So look, you know, there's two ways emails work, as with everything. You know, if you need any information, just get hold of me. I'm on LinkedIn. And if you can't get hold of me, get one of these other beautiful faces that are here and get them to get hold of me. But there's such an exciting calendar of events and so many good opportunities to get involved in this year. Not just, you know, we've got everything electric coming up, commercial vehicle shows, sustainable road transport. We've got a billion things that you can get involved in. But let's focus on just working together and building those relationships and making the most of it.
Marvin Samuels said, I'm really looking forward to meeting the gang at Fully Charged Live North in May. You can see us at Everything Electric in the XL in March. If you can find your way, come and see us. It's going to be fabulous. We've got something in a region of 15 pods that we're bringing together as the EV Café Village. Some premium spots where you'll see things you ain't seen before. And it's going to be next level hugginess. Oh, yes. Right, let's move on. Thank you, Richie. Shadow Roads Minister Bill Esterson has told members of the electric vehicle trade group Recharge UK that Labour will restore the 2030 date for the end of the sale of new petrol and diesel cars in an effort to rebuild consumer and investor confidence. Last September, Rishi Sunak, rolled it back, 2035, at a meeting at Recharge UK, Mr. Esterson said the reintroduction of the 2030 deadline would give confidence to investors and help encourage consumers to make the switch to electric. This on the back of the technical recession that we're looking at, and we've got lots of things going on which are making fleets and their decisions quite challenging. Paul, are you noticing a change in fleet buying behaviour and activities?
I think there's a universal recognition that it is difficult in the van sector, but the reality is the difference is not being really noticed. With manufacturers having to rethink the way they come to market. You can't just bang on at the fleets, but we knew that anyway. This move from 2030 to 2035 probably has made somewhat of a difference for the van sector because hybrids were still going to be permitted from 2030. So this, I presume that would be the same, but the van sector doesn't have any, none of any sort of significance anyway. So all of the technology that's coming out is all about electric. We've seen some massive announcements in January with 3 vehicles coming out with over 250 miles range as standard, I take the WLTP argument, the sort of standard testing is not always true, but it's still very much a move forward with the highest being 271. So we are going to see a lot of progress. SMMT have predicted 9.6% of registrations in 2024 will be electric vans. So and manufacturers can carry that over where they've missed that target of 10%. So I think it's going to be a push. There is definitely some reticence to push as hard previously, but I think the net will spread wider.
Yeah, Sarah, Michael Barton makes an interesting point. He says, could you argue that the 2030 ban has been superseded by the ZEV mandate? And yeah, I think you probably could, couldn't you?
Yeah, I grow slightly intolerant of these goalpost shifting all the time. I think we've just got to be unapologetically focused on what we committed to before they started changing the rules. And I'm really encouraged. There isn't a day, by the way, that doesn't go by where we're not engrossed in the fleet discussion, particularly around how they're going to charge, let alone where they're going to source them from and that all stems back from their plans. So when are they planning to swap out? And therefore, when do they need their charging provision? And what sort of level of complexity in their software do they need? And most of all, how the hell are you going to pay for it? I just think there's more going on than just these goalposts.
Yeah, it's a tough area at the minute, Sam. Do you find that that you're seeing a change in the marketplace, or are things just battering on because creating vehicles is like a tanker and trying to slow that process down because one government on a tiny island in the middle of nowhere says, "Oh, we're not doing that." It's not going to happen.
We're battering on for sure. I mean, the infrastructure. I've just been on calls this morning, and the volume of uptake of what we need is accelerating like you wouldn't believe for everybody. So we are cracking on. And just going back to the actual news bit with Mr. Bill Esterton, who I met a few months ago. He's a lovely chap, but like in some of the comments, slow clap for the fact that you're saying you're going to reinstate something that the industry is already going to be targeting for 2030 anyway. So all you're really saying is we're going to do something that is going to happen anyway. Let's not forget Keir Starmer's rollback of all the billions of investment that he claimed, which he no longer is going to be in the forefront of his mind now if and when he becomes in office. So well done, Mr. Bill Esterton, for bringing something up that is just a slow clap moment, to be honest. But again, to your point, John, the industry is cracking on anyway. Manufacturers are cracking on anyway. Infrastructure providers are cracking on anyway, irrespective of what the government or governments, whichever one it's going to be, says. We're getting on with it.
Good point. Well made. Thank you, Sam. New data has revealed the top 10 local authorities with the most environmentally conscious drivers, with Westminster coming out on top. The study, conducted by accident compensation experts claims.co.uk, examined the number of ultra-low emission licensed vehicles in each UK local authority according to the most recent data collected in the third quarter of 2023 from Gov.uk. The percentage of ultra-low emission vehicles was then compared against the number of all licensed vehicles to determine the local authorities with the most eco-friendly drivers in 2024. I bet you can't wait to find out who's greenest. Westminster, 28% of their vehicles, over a quarter, are EVs. Incredible. Stockport, 27%. That came as a surprise to me. 27% of vehicles are EVs in Stockport. The City of London achieves 23%, but the bless moment is they have 734 EVs. Oh, bless them. And that's 23% of all the vehicles registered in the City of London. Bless. Windsor and Maidenhead, 22%. Slough, Peterborough, Swindon, Hammersmith and Fulham, Milton Keynes, South Gloucestershire, and Stirling in Scotland made the top 10 with 12% of their vehicles being EV. It's quite a spread. Would it be fair to say, Sarah, that there's something to do with disposable income, middle classes, and being able to make that transition? Or is this about fleets committing and getting stuck in and making stuff happen?
No, I'm going for a combination of the two. I'm thinking housing stock, those with driveways, early adopters able to afford to buy. I'm going with, I'd love to overlay that with the public charging data as well, seeing where there's availability to charge too. But the Westminster one annoyed me because early adopters, when the cars were really expensive, were able to buy those vehicles, of course. And I'd also like to know how far those people drive and were those second vehicles or primary vehicles. I guess it doesn't matter when it's a percentage base of vehicles. But the South Gloucestershire one threw me, as did Stockport. So I'm going to go with driveways.
I would love to go to Sam next, but Paul.
Well, the thing for me is this just doesn't probably take into account commercial vehicles, so I really don't care and go to Sam.
It should do.
Before we go to Sam, let's go to Richie for expert comment from the front line. How's it going, Richie?
Richie's fired.
I reckon Sam's the best person to talk to about that.
So, Sam, before you do, Ben McDonald says, don't forget the impact of ULEZ. I think that's fair comment.
Well, the thing that no one's mentioned is parking. Westminster have been giving concession to EVs in their parking pay and bid display for years. So there's been a huge increase on street parking with electric vehicles because it costs literal pence rather than actual pounds to park in Westminster. So to their credit, for many years now, they've been encouraging the uptake of EVs by virtue of allowing people to park cheaply. So that has made a significant difference. So there is other affluent demographic, etc., implications as to why a high net worth area of London is getting the highest proportion. But parking is a really key incentive that's worked extremely well in that borough.
Incoming van news. We've got van news from Paul Kirby.
No. I was actually just going to say leasing company data might skew these numbers, particularly because Stockport is the home, of course, of Lex leasing, and that might be a reason. And as is, there are other areas around the country where vehicles get registered in blocks, but it's hard to necessarily record them at home. And of course, most of these vehicles are company vehicles in some way, shape or form. We know that it's just a tiny percentage are retail owners buying from their home address, as it were. So it's an important point to kind of overlay on all of these stats.
You're
exactly very good
right,
point, Paul. Very good point, Paul O'Brien, who put that in the chat just now. Well played. You said it and he said it at the same time, but yeah, he pointed out the major funders' locations.
Sam, did you not know that all Pauls are connected by their brains?
Yes,
all Pauls in the world. Anyway,
I would just like to point out before you move on, a very interesting dichotomy there where I was going on about how people with driveways can get cars, and then Sam, you correctly referenced that a lot of people with on-street provision get these types of cars too. Does that mean that lamppost charging is working in some areas?
No.
There's quite a lot in Westminster, it has to be said.
There is quite a lot in Westminster. I'm pretty sure they've boasted most lampposts now have a connector. It's a strange overlap that might be a clue.
No.
Shall we move on, Sam?
Yeah. Otherwise, I'll start ranting again.
That's what I wanted.
So we gave Westminster lots of credit. And speaking of Westminster, well, the BVRLA, Logistics UK, Recharge UK, the Association of Fleet Professionals, and the EV Café have come together to launch a joint zero-emission van plan next Tuesday, the 20th of February. The plan sets out steps needed from government to support the greater take-up of zero-emission vans across the UK. Me and a representative group from the plan's authors will be at Parliament next Tuesday. And we'd like you to do something to help us. We want to get MPs along to Speaker's Court. So we're going into the inner sanctum with 2 vehicles, one from our partner, the AA, to lobby ministers and MPs. This is the dropping off point, Speaker's Court, where all of those high hegians come and they just scuttle off into the Houses of Parliament. What we're going to be doing is showcasing the plan, talking to them about why electric vans are so important and what support we need. In order for you to be able to do that, we've copied into the chat there the email your MP link. If you click on that, it will take you through to a little form which is all pre-populated. You just have to put your name, postcode and so on into this form, and it will send a letter to your MP to encourage them to come along on Tuesday to speak to us and to tell us their thoughts on the support that we're requiring. There's legislative support, there are grant funding options, there are things that we need to help kickstart this marketplace. We'll then pop off to College Green to record some Vox Pops. Edmund King is going to be there from the AA, as well as representatives from all of those groups. Paul, you've worked hard on this van plan. It really matters, doesn't it?
It really does. I'm gutted I'm not going to be able to make it, but I'll be somewhere else talking about vans, which is great. But this, and I'm really respectful of the BVRLA here. They've pulled together, the collaboration with Logistics UK, REA, all the people that you've mentioned, the AFP, and combine those minds and those thoughts to help influence these key asks. And there is sort of 3 areas of asks: fiscal, the charging, and there's one other area, and I was just trying to look for it there. But it's going to be really important that we get behind this, that we email our MPs. I've done that, and hopefully a number of others have too. Yeah. And it's really interesting that the take-up has been lower than the benefit in kind push. So there was a big push to get the benefit in kind rules extended beyond 2025, and everybody wrote to their MP because, of course, it meant money for them. Well, here's an opportunity to really push the van agenda forward, which is significantly impacting our local towns and cities with emissions and driver well-being. Sarah and I were talking and exchanging that actually driver well-being is increased significantly. Happy, calmer, more focused drivers drive electric vehicles. So if we can give that to our van community, that is a great thing to do. And this plan, I commend this plan to the House.
Thank you kindly. The 3 areas, the key asks, are increased fiscal support, so more grants for new and used electric vans, to improve charging with regulatory and fiscal support so that EVan charging works, and removing regulatory barriers, full alignment of the 4.25 tonne ZEVs with diesel vans. We just want a level playing field. Thanks very much. So there we are. Sam, do you froth about vans? I drove one on Wednesday, an electric tipper-bodied van, and it was brilliant. It was so quick, so responsive. I had a ball.
And scared the life out of us as you pulled away.
It's just like a car, mate. Sam, do you froth?
I used to froth. Yes, I've been involved in vans a very long time, as you know, and a Guinness World Record holder in one as well. Did I mention that? But yeah,
not for a while.
Not for a while. Wow, well, watch this space. Yeah, no, vans are great. Electric vans, electric, everything's great. Every conceivable size, shape, and form. Obviously, as you well know, I'm working on some of the really big stuff at the moment. But it all needs a provision. It all needs to be catered for. So, like all different vehicle types, we've got to promote everything.
Sarah, we've talked about charging a lot for vans, and I did a poll on the EV Café page a couple of weeks ago looking at whether vans need the same charging space as cars, whether they need something separate. The overwhelming feeling was they need their own charging spaces. And when you see the size of some of these vehicles, you're not surprised, are you? Is that the right way to go? Should it be homogenous or just horses for courses?
Like all infrastructure rollout, it's about choosing the path of least resistance and choosing those low-hanging fruit examples first, and that is depot back to base charging. It absolutely is. And there you can design it from scratch. You can make it work for you financially, charge when it's cheaper, cleaner, all that stuff, and maximize battery energy as well. So that's perfect, great, easy to do. Lots and lots of grants available for that too. But out and about, that's the tricky one. How are you going to be reimbursed? Are you able to be reimbursed? What type of fleet are you? Are you self-employed or are you employed? Does that charger that you happen to fall upon support you in terms of VAT receipts? There's so much to unpack, and we never start with the driver first. We always talk about the vehicle or the charger itself. Making a driver's life easier is my mission.
Absolutely right. And Richie, just before you pop off, everything electric, we'll be having vans with us there. It's a real opportunity, isn't it, to come and see electric vans, see how they work, see what they do, because the reality is that if you can do it in a diesel van, you can do it in an electric van too.
Yeah, I think I've just written a little note to myself here because, we did the, when I was at Fully Charged, we did the commercial vehicle zone, and it almost sets itself up to being like the quietest area in the whole show because, we look at Fully Charged as a predominantly consumer show, but it wasn't. It was almost the polar opposite. And it's weird and great that it is because I think vans and commercial vehicles right the way across the piece, they are instrumental in raising consumer confidence in everything electric. So when consumers, the Joe public, everybody sees that it's possible for people like DPD and the AA and these guys to use these as part of their regular sort of fleet, then the next step they make as individuals is that much more believable, that much more easy. Do you know what I mean? So it's not that large stretch. When they see an electric van come up their drive to deliver a parcel, it all of a sudden becomes familiar. Right. And I think that's what we've got to do. Sometimes we see B2B and B2C is something completely different, but they both shake each other's hands quite a lot. And I think it's really important that we promote, like Paul does, the commercial vehicle aspects of things and fleet and all that sort of stuff, because it just breeds beautiful consumer confidence, and it helps them make their next step that much more easy.
It certainly does, mate. Thank you ever so much for your contribution today. If you've got any clean transport PR or news stories you'd like us to cover, please send them to us at hello@evcafe.org. Until next Friday, it's goodbye from me and it's goodbye from all of them. This has been an EV Cafe production brought to you this week in partnership with Plug Me In, depot and workplace charging you can rely on. Other sustainability news services are available. Now, Richie, this is where we have to do something special. We say funner. Okay, so at the end, other sustainability news services are available, but this is just funner.
Oh, exactly did a thing. I want that, whatever that is.
Not like Santa still the limelight, is it?
Yeah, I know, right?
The EV Cafe is truly blessed to be partnered with the AA, Webfleet, Europcar, Plug Me In, Paythrough, Zaptec, Spiri, Hydrock, Interval, Kersha, Dynamon, and McIntyre Hudson. We are the EV Cafe, supporting the transition to zero emission transport. Enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend wherever it takes you. Until next Friday, bye.
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 You got to check your
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. It's great.